Hello everyone, I hope you all had a wonderful new year. Sorry this video is coming out a bit late where there are only a couple of days left to pull for Makiatto. There's only 2 days left. I was recovering from a sore throat and I couldn't do the voiceover earlier. I had a great time play testing the heck out of Makiatto, the Ice Sniper Sentinel, in some of the level 50 to 65 content. You can see in the expansion drills I have completed all the way to the 10th stage, fighting these level 65 double boss enemies. They say it's recommended level 60, but I've cleared it and my commander level is well below that. I'm only level 53. I actually completed that back when I was, I believe, level 49 or 50. So I got her ever since I was about level 45, and I've been playing with her ever since. I have to say that she is beyond broken in pretty much every single game mode when built and teamed up properly. She can clear multiple weak mobs with her ultimate ability, and it gets even better. She can, instead of just attacking 2 guys, she can get 3 when you get her 3rd duplicate. She does insane single target damage with her skill 1. Her skill 2 gives some extra survivability from some otherwise devastating AoE boss attacks, and she generates a good amount of skill points as well with that. And because of her range as a sniper, she's also great in offensive PvP. She's a little lackluster in defensive PvP because her AI doesn't really use her skills properly unless you have specific defensive PvP team setup of elite dolls. She won't do that well, but with that said, I still can't recommend her enough. She's a must-have, especially if you've already picked up the Ice Support Suomi. If you have Makiatto, this video will teach you how to build your Makiatto so she's as strong as a shot of espresso instead of weak like a latte like this person's Makiatto. All aboard the Makiatto Espresso Express. Choo choo! First things first, if you have a lot of collapse pieces and you haven't got a second copy, aka her first duplicate, aka her V1 yet, do that before pulling for her signature weapon, since most of her damage comes from her skill 1, which gets a significant boost from her first duplicate. Secondly, level her up until you get her to your commander level, then unlock all of her Neural Helix nodes, including the fixed keys you aren't planning on using, because that will give you the extra advancement benefits, which will give you 12% bonus to all of your stats. And it will also get you her common key, although this one isn't all that important unless you don't have a lot of common keys, then use it, but I don't actually use this one. I gave this to my Tololo, and I'll explain why. Thirdly, you want to wine and dine her, so you're going to go into this little armchair icon over here, or you can go through the dorm. So you want to go to the dorm, give her as many gifts as she can, get her to Affinity level 5. Getting dolls to Affinity, higher level Affinity up to level 5 will give them increased base stats. You'll see from level 2 to 5 she gets more attack health, health and defense, even more attack, and more attack here. Getting them above that does not give them any extra stats, so don't bother upgrading them unless you just want to waifu them. Fourthly, you want to give her the appropriate fixed and common keys. So in this guide, I kind of deviate a bit away from the other guides, and I'll explain why. So one of the websites I go on is called pridwen.gg. It's prydwen.gg, and they recommend the best fixed keys for her are additional intelligence, iced with milk and foam, and absolute concentration. And then the game does not recommend ice with milk foam, and instead it recommends Indomitable Lone Wolf. I recommend additional intelligence, Indomitable Lone Wolf, and heated caramel as interchangeable ones, and then I keep iced with milk foam and absolute concentration all the time, and I'll explain why these 3 are interchangeable and why and which situations you would use them. So additional intelligence is good for most of the game content, particularly when you're fighting lots of mobs before you ever get to the elite enemies and you're trying to go fight the elite enemy in the back somewhere, and you need that sustained amount of skill points to keep killing more small guys. Indomitable Lone Wolf is good for defensive PvP mode and even offensive PvP mode, where messing with the enemy's movement is really good. So freezing them, giving them the frozen debuff so they can't move is pretty good. And Heated Caramel is good for the boss mode. I'll go get to that. So Heated Caramel is good for this weekly boss mode, where you have these tickets and you're fighting these really big tank guys, these Dai Cho'Gath, I don't know how to pronounce that right. But these guys don't really move, so it's not good. You don't really care about freezing them, and fighting elite enemies or the smaller bosses, like the flamethrower guy or the twin hammer bros in this game, they're usually immune to freeze debuffs, so it's not really good to fight them with that. And usually, most of the time, there's not too many ads or little enemies to go and kill and get extra skill points off of, so it's better to just get the extra damage bonus from from Heated Caramel at the trade-off that they become immune to frozen and frigid, but they still but you do more damage, and it's better for that because a lot of this game is based on turns and how fast you can kill the boss or enemies before they do damage to you. If you haven't gotten to level 40 or higher yet to unlock these ones, I would suggest that you, out of these 4 nodes, I would get Additional Intelligence, Ice with Milk Foam, and Indomitable Lone Wolf, and I would just never take Time for a Break, because her range as a sniper already kind of compensates for her lesser movement speed, and most of the time you're not going to be standing over ice tiles underneath you, so the additional movement almost never activates, so there's not really a point to that. For the common keys, because of her passive that gives her a lot of extra crit rate, but not and subtract some crit damage, you're going to want to build her crit damage back up. So anywhere you can get crit damage, you're going to want to get that. So there's a lot of universal keys that grant those. You can get them from getting characters to their level 5 affinity bonuses. Makiatto herself has it, Tololo, Sharky, Vepli, and Nemesis so far all give common keys with crit damage, with other bonuses as well, like these ones give attack boost and health boost. Vepli's is actually one of the best one because it gives crit chance, crit damage, and attack boost. It doesn't have a defensive buff like health boost. And then this common key I have right here, the Afterglow, I actually get this from Tololo's maxing out her Helix nodes. This is really good for Makiatto instead of Tololo because her Confected's index or her skill points is pretty much always below max, since you're only getting 4 index points from her skill 2. You might have 1 extra from the additional intelligence, but that's still not max because you need 6 is the max. So she pretty much always gets a 7% damage bonus increase, whereas Tololo, every few turns she has to regain her max skill points so that she can get her extra action. So it's not actually good on her because she loses the 7% damage bonus every like 2 or 3 turns. I actually like giving Tololo Makiatto's Neural Helix common key because Tololo's usually kind of like running up in front with her extra action speed, so she can go further distance. So she kind of gets herself in spots where she might be targeted a little bit more often. So giving her this extra defense where her stability damage taken is reduced once per turn is actually really great for her, so she stays alive in the front lines a bit longer. If you don't have Tololo or other characters that give you the crit damage keys, or you just don't want to spend all of your gifts upgrading their affinity reward, like I probably wouldn't upgrade Nemesis's affinity or Vepli's. Sharky's really good. She's a really great single target DPS, even for a standard or SR character. So I wouldn't be afraid of putting in resources into her. She's a really great character. She's actually one of the characters I'm working on right now. Fifthly, you want to get her an appropriate weapon and level it up. Out of all of the purple weapons, I would actually say that the best weapon for her is the 50 caliber Nemesis. Unless the enemy is a boss, if they have less than the specified amount of HP, she's likely killing them without this damage buff anyways. The other weapons are a bit too situational. The 3-line rifle M1891, it only works if your teammates deal a phase debuff, which is basically an elemental buff, so it'll tell you if it's like a fire or ice debuff. So you need to apply something before that. It's not usually too big of a deal because if you have Latte or Suomi, they can usually put some kind of movement or frost debuff on the enemy, so it's not too big of a deal. But sometimes the enemies are coming off from the sides that are too far away for you to act, and then they'll get an attack and trigger Makiatto's ultimate and like counter attack, so they're not getting that increased damage because they don't have debuffs on them yet. And her W2000 weapon only works if her HP is above a certain threshold, and it only works on her out of turn damage, which most of her damage actually comes from her skill 1, not her ultimate out of turn damage attacks. So this one's not that good, so that's why I prefer the 50 caliber Nemesis out of all of the purple weapons so far. And of course, if you have any of the legendary SSR or elite guns, use those instead. But if you have her signature weapon, the Bittersweet Caramel, this is the best for her because it gives her the damage bonus for her element type, and it gives her a bunch of crit damage. 6, you want to give her the correct weapon attachments, set, and stats. Her preferred set is the freeze bonus set because both her S1 and her ultimate ability do freeze damage, and her preferred stats are in this order: crit damage percent, which only comes from the muzzle, attack percent boost, attack, crit rate percent, defense boost percent, defense, HP boost percent, and HP. Because she's a DPS, prioritizing her offensive stats is the most important. If RNGesus is not too kind to you and you get some defensive stats mixed in, it's not the end of the world. Defense boost percent and defense aren't that bad. I rank defense boost and defense above the HP boost percent and HP because her basic HP is already quite high, and it's high enough that you can see that it's a lot higher than my min-max Suomi's attack. So her shield is going to pretty much never reach Makiatto's HP cap, so it's not going to give her twice as much shield as she does for her HP. So it's better that her shield takes less damage with more defense than just trying to give her more max HP, because one of her fixed keys is absolute concentration, so you never want her HP to go below 100 for the first time. So keeping her shield up and taking more damage by having more defense is actually more important than just stacking even more HP. Hopefully you're lucky enough and you get attachments that only have offensive stats, like I got really lucky with this tripod, and it has attack boost, attack, and crit. 7thly, pair her up with appropriate teammates. Currently, Suomi and Latte are her best friends, and then the last 1 or 2 slots are pretty flexible. I usually like pairing her up with Sharky and any other really good DPS you have. I got Tololo, Sharky, Ksenia is another good one if you need more single target DPS. Sharky and Ksenia are pretty good together. For defensive PvP setups, she needs teammates to keep the enemy player from targeting her and breaking her shield so she can keep attacking with her absolute mental defense ability. So she pretty much needs Suomi and Sabrina. And then to do enough damage to kill the enemy, she needs a lot more damage to break the enemy's stability index. Kyungyu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she's really important. This character right here, she and also Suomi have a lot of support attacks so that they can help whittle down their stability index so that Makiatto can do the finishing blow on them. That's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will be making more Girls Frontline 2 Exilium content in the near future now that I'm better. I just saw the news for this new character coming out in a new event. I will be covering that in the near future, so stay tuned. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!